Hey, what's up, good people? It's Jay Ray, the co host of Q Points, and I wanted to come to you because there are two really important ways that you can support our show. One is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. The other thing that you can do is you can visit us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on Podchaser, and you can leave us a star rating. Please rate us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And on Apple Podcasts and on Podchaser, you can actually leave us a written review. It's not required, but it really does help to spread the word about the show, and it helps people to discover it as they're looking for new podcasts to listen to. We're always appreciative of you supporting Q Points. We thank you so much for all that you've done for us so far, and enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Q Points. I am Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. What's happening, y'all?
Listen, it's another week, another time for us to discuss this wonderful thing we call Black music and the Black artists that we love to talk about and to dote upon and give them their flowers. We like to do that here on Q Points. But before we do that, Jay Ray, how you been this week?
Man, oh man, I'm good this week. It's been a challenging week, but it's a good week, and I've got a lot of good stuff done. How about you, Sir Daniel? How you doing, man?
This has been an excellent week. Yeah, some great things are coming. You're gonna hear my voice on some other things pretty soon, and I'm very excited about Saturday's broadcast of Sugar Honey on the Rocks. If you didn't know, I'm about to take it back on Saturday and start mixing live on Mixcloud and celebrating. For Women's History Month, I'm celebrating Black women in music, and we're getting to kick all month of March every Saturday in March. I'm doing that, so join me 2 p.m. on Mixcloud, and we're going to have a great time. But the task at hand is to talk about this week's topic, which is when we were preparing and getting ready to discuss Lionel Richie as one of the nominees for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee. I mean, immediately we were like, "Oh, this is going to be good." We love Lionel Richie. We grew up on
Mm-hmm.
Lionel Richie. It's all good. Then it was like the stars aligned, and Danielle Smith dropped an article in the LA Times
Yeah.
about Lionel Richie, and I was like, "How? What's the word? Serendipitous?
Mm-hmm.
Is this all for?" It's like the universe is saying, "Yeah, his name is in the atmosphere. Y'all should be talking about him."
Yes. Yeah. I was happy to see that article. I am happy for the moment that he's having as well. So shout out to Danielle Smith. We're going to put the link to the article in our chat so y'all can check that out. It'll also be in the description of this show if you're checking it out after this show. But Lionel Richie is having a really good moment. I was in People shopping, and then I saw this. And I was like, "Oh, look, there go Lionel." And so I don't watch American Idol. So
Yeah.
I didn't have a frame of reference that Lionel Richie was one of the judges on American Idol. And so I'm just happy that he is having this moment. And I think Danielle's article really did shed some light on his history
Oh
in a
yeah.
way that I've never read before. And I was really happy to take it in. So shout out to Danielle.
Absolutely. And one of the things that was to your point about how people are experiencing Lionel Richie,
Mm-hmm.
of certain generations, how they're experiencing him. And, while we were discussing this on the show, it was like, what was your recollection? When do you recall being aware of who Lionel Richie is at the time? And that I remember exactly what it was, but I'll go ahead and ask you first, J Ray. When do you recall being cognizant of who Lionel Richie is?
Through my dad and music, actually. I don't remember a time when Lionel Richie wasn't playing in my house. My dad was a huge music fan. He had all the Commodores records. And he was, baby, you give him a 3 Times a Lady and an Easy, Johnny Ray Cornegate Jr. was going to be in his bag. Okay. So I learned about Lionel Richie as part of the Commodores by growing up and listening to his music. And what's funny is my dad didn't even play like the funk stuff heavy like that. It was the Lionel pop ballads that were his thing. And he was really into that. And I see Kipper, shout out to Kipper Jones, who just joined us in the chat. And Kipper was like, listen, I remember Brick House. That was it for Kipper. So, but what about you, Sir Daniel? When did you become cognizant of Lionel Richie?
So I had a completely different experience. I did not become aware of Lionel Richie until 80s pop Lionel Richie. I remember the very first time I saw him or became aware of him was the Hello video. This was around the
of
time
all videos.
of all videos, right? And there was no cable in Brooklyn. We have you get Hot Tracks on Friday night, which was hosted by Angie and Debbie from Ryan's Hope. And that was random. But yeah, and so the video came on, and I just remember how dramatic and haunting the song was. And then you realize that the girl in the video was blind. And then there's that breakdown and dialogue in the video. Don't go, I can hear you. And I'm like, what's going on here? This is a lot. And so I'm glued onto this television, like, who is this song? And then, as kids, you take songs and then you spoof them, and you make your own little parodies, and every time you say hello, is it me? It becomes an ongoing joke. So that's how Lionel Richie came into my life and has been there ever since. And I just can't. Oh, and of course there was that summer you couldn't go to a wedding and not hear Endless Love.
Yes, absolutely. So you actually made me think of something, Sir Daniel, that I was trying to figure this out. So up until I was getting ready for this show, I hadn't gone back and watched 80s Lionel Richie videos. For no reason other than I rarely go back and watch videos, and I just hadn't seen any Lionel Richie 80s videos in a long time. So I went back and I pulled those videos, and you just brought something up. The Hello video, you are absolutely right. It was like a whole storyline. It was very dramatic. But when you go back and you watch Lionel Richie videos from that period, you could now tell that there was like a soap opera element in almost every video. And I never thought about that until you just said it was really dramatic. And I'm like, oh yeah, all of them videos kind of have like a soap opera thing happening.
80s videos had a storyline, which is, made them more entertaining. And so funny that, we had all these great Black music videos, and MTV was refusing to play anything like that.
Right. That's weird. Yeah, MTV back in the day, y'all, it was a thing. So can we talk about, you mentioned Endless Love. I do think that as we get into this conversation, we have to ground the folks in why Lionel Richie is such a thing. So I'm going to
Lionel Richie Folklore 101.
Lionel Richie Folklore 101. So we are going to, and I'm just going to pull out,
come on, Professor J.
I'm gonna pull out 5 things, and they're gonna be super fast. So, 1, Lionel Richie has sold 100 million albums. That's 100 million, right? Okay, that. He's had 32 Grammy nominations. He's won 4 times. He songs that Lionel Richie have written have spent 34 weeks at number 1 combined. 34 weeks at number one. Songs that he's written have spent at number one. And Endless Love, which I'm going to hold Endless Love for a second. So he is one of two songwriters that had a hit for 9 consecutive years. For 9 years in a row, Lionel Richie had a hit, a number one hit, 9 years in a row. That's nuts. And my last thing was around Endless Love. Endless Love, 9 is a thing here. Endless Love spent 9 weeks at number one. That's a lot.
Darling.
Is it great too?
I'm not gonna do that to y'all. Don't make me sing.
Let it out, Sir Daniel. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, Kipper. But yes, he co-wrote "We Are the World," so we're going to get to that in a minute. But dumb numbers, Sir Daniel. That's crazy.
That is a phenomenon that I think is native to a lot of Black culture, and it's a phenomenon because. How do I put this? Okay, so it's native to us because it hits us in our collective conscience. And I'll give you an example. This week, I was telling J Ray yesterday. Yesterday, I put a tweet on Twitter that went absolutely viral. I thought it was something very innocent. I took a picture that I saw of a very well done French roll with some pin curls to the side, and I posted quickly, tell me what song does this remind you of? Nearly 5,000 tweets and retweets later, people are still talking about what this particular picture reminds them of. And as Black people, we have a collective experience where music, the way we do our hair, the way the cleaning the house, all of these things are connected. And these are all the things that make a Lionel Richie a part of each of our households that will allow him to have one song or have a song on the charts for 9 years, or to have a song that is played at every single wedding. It's because there's just something innate, is something collective that happens when one of our Black creators creates something timeless that speaks to us as a community and ties in all of our life events, that just creates that phenomenon for a Lionel Richie. Like I said, people got married to this music. They had their first dance to this music. Children were created to this music. People went to prom and heard Lionel Richie at their prom. So there isn't a generation that he hasn't touched. Even the ones that don't even know about him have been touched by Lionel Richie and this phenomenon of Black art, Black culture that we love talking about here. So that was the correlation that I saw yesterday. Was like, yo, this thing is really real to us. And artists like Lionel Richie cannot be left without being celebrated. And then, just like how we were discussing last week, with Dionne Warwick, this whole notion of Blackness and levels of Blackness tend to come up because not only did he start out talking to us and talking to us as a community, when other people started celebrating him, that's when is he Black enough question came up, which is, something that happens a lot to a lot of our best and greatest artists.
Yes. It's so funny how I think there has been a tendency, and I hope that we're able to at some point continue to move away from this, or at least expand the box, right? Because there has been a tendency historically and in present day to put, when you say urban, what you're really saying is Black, and what you're really saying is, even though that's clearly a country song or that's clearly a pop song, you have to be put into whatever the Black category is here. I actually saw Remember when we did our Grammy show, I saw a couple of that here. I'm like, I don't even know why this artist is over here, except that he black and they put him in a black category. Tyler, the
That's it.
Creator, has talked about that, right? Like this don't belong in the hip hop category. So anyway, I think when I was going back and I was listening to Lionel Richie Commodore stuff, this surprised me. It surprised me that I forgot how much the same pop sensibility was in those records that were in the Lionel solo stuff. And where I'm going with this is that all of this music, we say this all the time on Q Points, all of it is ours. So we've been doing versions of all of this stuff forever. And Lionel Richie was always writing these really beautiful and crisp pop songs that were, you know, three times a lady and Easy are examples that come to mind. You know what I'm saying? Of songs like that, where they have this universal appeal that expand beyond what even we would consider to be blackness. And unfortunately, Lionel did get swept up in that. One last thing, we also have to remember, not only was Lionel doing this music, he was also on a black label. And even at the height of his fame, he was still on Motown. Like it was still Motown.
Yeah. Yeah. He was still bringing the hits home for Motown and representing that era. Isn't it funny how that era still carried over into the 60s and they were still, I think they were at the height of their superpowers. For those of you who are too young and that are watching, Motown was like Cash Money Records. Motown was like Young Money.
Young Money is the perfect, yes. It was like Young Money. Like everybody was over there. Like everybody was over there. Kipper Jones, who in the chat was working over there.
You know, everybody, and Motown was the place to be because for all intents and purposes, it represented black excellence.
Oh, child, we got a whole thing. Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, so let's talk about Lionel. So one of the things that this People magazine article talked about is it's like we're celebrating Lionel Richie because he kind of represents, like, we're celebrating black excellence. That's the banner it's under, right? And so we know growing up that people would give, it was more people our age that was giving Lionel the side eye. My parents definitely weren't giving Lionel the side eye. I was like, no, like All Night Long is it. Like, play it. Like, that's it.
Danielle, there's a part in the article where Danielle talks when he speaks about singing All Night Long in a calypso voice.
Oh,
which, coming from a West Indian household, I was wide open. I was like, okay, I like this. And then, you know, the video, there were children in the video dancing, and then there's that breakdown with the African chant, the that's a moment. That's a moment to me, because nothing else, no one has ever integrated African and a Caribbean song like that and that to become a huge pop record at the time. That had at my young age, of course, I had never witnessed that before, and that song stays with me to this day because of that particular moment, because of those elements.
Yeah, that song right there is beautiful from top to bottom. And yes, you are absolutely right. Those were elements in pop music at that time, at that level, that you just weren't hearing. You could get it in pockets, but you weren't getting it on that stage and in that way. And the fact that Lionel Richie was doing it was a thing. And Kipper, thank you for this note. He was like, that Quincy Jones would use African themes like that as well sometimes. So Lionel he's been leaning into his history, which I love. Lionel's from Tuskegee. Child, listen.
Oh, that alone in and of itself, living in the home of that Booker T. Washington's name is on the deed.
Yeah,
it still has that home to this day.
That's like Black history right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's from here. He's like, I went to school here. This is where I'm from. Like, this is my history. This and the quote here is, I'm proud to be standing on the shoulders of my folks. Like, he recognizes that I came from this place and from these people, and I have been able to take what they imparted to me and take it as far as I can go with it, and that he's made it. And he recognizes that importance. That is amazing for him to be at this place in his career.
Yeah, it's amazing. I hate that it's so amazing because it doesn't happen so frequently. You know, that's something that's a whole nother conversation. But I love the fact that he was a part of all intents. He was an HBCU alum.
Yep. He's an alpha.
Listen, all of the things, and the Commodores came out of that, which also lends to band culture. I was discussing recently with someone else about how certain songs in the mid 2000s in the South made it, and it was because they had a band element to it. And when you come to the South, the band is very important. I'm talking about, marching band. And then for the Commodores to come out of the marching band era and to form a group, because they started off as a trio. They weren't called the Commodores at first. They started off as a trio, and then they transformed into a full band of Commodores. And I just think that needs to be highlighted, that band culture, particularly in the 50s and 60s and leading into the 70s, was a major thing, especially for Black people, Black artists. A lot of, you can hear them say all the time, oh yeah, everybody wanted to be in a band. It was something to do after school. It was something to be a part of. It was something that you knew would gain you popularity, would make you popular with the girls. People loved band culture, and that's something that I want to see come back, is band culture. And it's going to be hard because technology doesn't necessarily lend to people creating bands. People think they're one-man bands now. And yes, thank you, Kipper. The music in schools is dubious at most, as far as what they're teaching in school now. Everybody of a certain age at least had a recorder. Raise your hands if you had a recorder and learned how to play hot cross buns on the recorder. Thank you.
Mary had a little lamb for us. Yes.
That same 3 chords,
Right.
But just that whole thing about the Black experience. Again, the Black experience, collective experience, is part of that. Band culture is definitely a part of that. And I think that Lionel Richie coming out of the Commodores, coming from the band, is just another call back to that Black experience that he is so proud of. And that's all the more reason to celebrate him and to let kids know, hey, you see this? This is what came out of that. But they did it together. They created great songs. They created songs that are iconic and still last to this day.
Yeah, man. So 2 weeks ago, I was having a conversation with my cousin. He's 88, and he was in a vocal group. He was in a vocal group. They were called the 4 Stars. So shout out to them. And I asked him, why was it important for him to do music, like be a part of it? And he was like, well, everybody was kind of doing it. It was a way for us to come together. And I was like, oh, so it was almost like a way for you to bond with your friends as well. It was like a way to come together. You're not doing anything troublesome, right? You're actually bonding and getting to know these people who you live in proximity to, right? And so leading into the bands and thinking about the 70s and all the bands that came out, and baby, them bands was huge. You had like 11 people. The Commodores had
Ginormous.
like 7 people in that group. Like it was a lot of people.
The horn section alone was at least 18 people, and
Right, it's 18.
it sounded like that.
Right.
And we benefited from them having that many people in the band. We
Right.
absolutely did.
Yes, I'm sure their pockets didn't benefit from them having that many people in the band. But just thinking
You got a
about
nice,
that, you
yeah.
know, listen, just thinking about the fact that these folks got the opportunity to come together, create together, travel together, and make history together. There were only 6. Thank you, Kipper. I said 7. So there was 6 of them. Thank you. And these
We
folks got
got
to
our
come
fact
together.
checker on deck.
Listen, I live for it. But these folks got to come together and create together. And that is something, to your point, Sir Daniel, would be dope. I mean, but we would need music in schools. Like we would need an opportunity for folks to, one, get a chance to meet each other, and then have a chance to learn how to play instruments and learn what that means. Because there's so much you can learn from playing with other people. That would be amazing. I would love, listen, for a band to drop something like I think the last, when was the last
Right.
band?
Exactly. Jodeci called themselves the Mad Band. Is that could that be it?
No, I think Mint Condition was like
Yes.
the last one I could think of. The last one I can think of.
The Revolution is still around.
Yes. So we got work to do, Sir Daniel. We got work to do. So yeah, Kipper mentioned too, Mint Condition. Yeah, and Kipper mentioned another point here. It was kind of unique because at the time most of the bands did have 11 people. Most of the bands did have 11 people.
Right.
So okay. These songs that Lionel created have left us with these memories, right? How do we teach this to future generations? Like, how do we introduce Lionel Richie to Gen Z? And why he's important.
Well, I think his presence on American Idol is important for that reason alone. Mm-hmm. And it sparks conversation. They're like, who is he? Why does he get to tell? Why do people care about what he says? Well, here's why. And then you kind of run the resume down as why Lionel Richie is important. But I guess it's up to DJs whenever they have the opportunity to drop gems from a Lionel Richie in a set and create spaces. Like, that's why being online and mixing online, now that we have these different platforms, is so important, because now you can create spaces for newer generations to learn through the music about these people, these movements that were so important and came along at a very important time in our lives, and that changed the way we looked at each other on a global standpoint, created calls to actions. A lot of his songs, and I guess we can kind of segue into We Are the World, but we're talking about a moment in time where music could become a call to action. We're talking about people who grew up in Jim Crow. He grew up in Jim Crow.
Yes.
He grew up in Jim Crow and witnessed the whole movement of gaining equal rights here in the country. And so creating music to become a call of action to people is not foreign to Lionel Richie. Mm-hmm. And so when you fast forward to the 80s and he composes, along with Michael Jackson, no less, a song like We Are the World to address hunger in another country for people that look like us, we're going to heed the call. Mm-hmm. And the parallels today, even though, are very similar. but nobody's writing songs about the Ukraine yet. I don't know. It could be coming,
Right.
but I don't know if anybody is tapped in. Any artist today is tapped in to humanity the way that Lionel, Michael, and all of those artists came together to create that call to action. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying I don't know if anybody is tapped in like that to create something like that. Even though, and I'm just talking off the top of my head, like maybe people are like, what can a song do today? What kind of difference can it make? We don't know. But what We Are the World did was brought attention, made a call to action. The money raised from the record created hunger aid and created money to create food and to be placed over there so that the hunger issue could be addressed. So I don't know that. That's what makes Lionel Richie a boss. It's like we have to create these. Back to your original question, we have to create these spaces so that they can learn about it, so that hopefully it'll spark another consciousness within this generation that your music is not just to be self-serving, but it's to serve others as well.
Yes. I think that's a really important point. And I think to answer your question too, for those folks that are listening or watching and like, well, what can a song do? It's so funny how that argument has come up time and time again, and it gets disproved like a lot, right? It, one, to your point, it'll raise awareness. Two, it'll raise money. Three, it'll inspire. What more? It'll inspire people to action. What more do you want? Like, this is what it is. And we talk about the civil rights movement. The music associated with the civil rights movement was as important as all of the policy and the protest. It was as important, right? Because it was another entry point. If I take me personally, and I'm gonna get to We Are the World in a second, but even if I take me personally, I learned about Malcolm X because of Public Enemy. It's like a 1-to-1. I didn't know Malcolm X until I heard it in a Public Enemy song, and then I'm like, let me pull out the World book because there was no internet.
Your Encyclopedia Britannica.
I mean, yeah. Listen, Brenda Cornegay had 24 volumes of World book. It was a whole thing, child. So when I think of a song like We Are the World, and let's put this in perspective, y'all. These Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones was at the prime. They were booked and busy. The
height of their superpowers.
So to come together and then create this song, right? And then to bring all of these folks in. So you got the Dionne Warwicks, you got the Diana Rosses, you got Pointer Sisters,
John Cougar Mellencamp,
Bruce Springsteen, Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper. And that footage is hilarious, by the way.
It is. Watch it.
And LaToya Jackson.
LaToya Jackson. We got to do this LaToya show. To get all of these folks to fall through. All of these people is booked and busy in 1984. And the night of the it was the night of the Grammys, right? They did the Grammys and then they went in and did like this super long session. Rolling Stone actually has an article that like goes through how they got this done, because it was all done at one time, right? So to be able to commit your time and your talent to something that's bigger than you is the call. Like, what? It makes it all make sense, in my opinion. So if you're an artist watching this, like, if you can make a difference with your gift, why not?
Why not? And you kind of touched on it, talking about the technical aspects of making We Are the World. Clearly, a lot of those people they hadn't heard the song until they got there, right? So imagine you're Michael, you're Lionel, you're Quincy, and you're feeding Cyndi Lauper these lyrics, and she's trying to belt it out with conviction, but you have to stand there and be like, we're trying to make it, we're trying to do all that. And she's like, well, doing her thing, trying, and they're, God knows how many takes it took. But just, can you imagine the room was full of star power, and realizing, hey, well, this is for a charity, so that means you're not necessarily getting paid for this.
Yeah.
And people were like, Quincy Jones is here, Michael's here. Okay, I'll be here for it.
Right.
That's stuff like that doesn't happen anymore. We saw self-destruction at our generation. We saw that done.
Yep.
But after that,
yeah,
I can't really think of anything else. But yeah, just the technical, trying to get people to sing on key, because I'm sure that was a major thing for a lot of the artists that were there at the time.
There's some videos of that. So there are a couple of examples though. I do want to highlight too. Yeah, Quincy. So I was just going to mention that. So there was a sign on the door that was written in big red words that said, "Check your ego at the door." So it was very clear, And
Trey's making a great point. Okay.
Yep. What's going on remake. And then even going back from there. So, we had, and this was a magical time. So you had all the sisters for the Panther soundtrack. They did Freedom.
Yes.
Joy, which was written by Joy. Shout out to Joy, who wrote Freedom. And then You Will Know.
You Will Know by the gentlemen, men of, what were they called?
I don't remember what they called them, but D'Angelo wrote that song.
I was a young boy.
Yes, that was Tevin, wasn't it? Did Tevin open that song? Yeah,
Tevin opened up that song. You Will Know. Black Men United, BMU.
Black Men United. Yes. And of course we're all in the same gang, right? So there is a history of Black artists like coming together to create music and albums for charity. And We Are the World is just kind of the pinnacle of being able to do that, because you legit had all of the biggest stars in the country in a room.
And it took on a life of its own because it became a part of folklore. Like, how many times you can count how many times that song has been mentioned in TV sitcoms. Like, I can think of the a Golden Girls episode just off the top of my head, where Blanche Devereaux says, well, yeah, I donated to charity. I bought the We Are the World album back in 1985. Those things, that's when you're a part of the fabric of the collective consciousness of a country, is when things like that happen. And Lionel Richie, you did that, sir. Which is why you need to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay.
No questions asked.
No questions asked. And you know what? Listen, y'all, we ain't talked about the fact that y'all need to still be voting. So the link is in the chat, folks, for you to go over there. And here's the thing. You can vote as a fan every day. You could go in there. You get to pick 5 people, pick the 4 Black folks and somebody else. You can switch it up.
You can put Dolly Parton in there. I love Dolly. You can put Eurythmics in there. I like them too.
Listen, go in. I'm a probably cycle through everybody. You know what I'm saying? I got fan. I'm like, I'm going down the list. I love it. But vote for them folks. So Mr. Richie, so I went to LionelRichie.com today. Baby, listen. And how old is Lionel Richie now?
72.
He's 72. 72 and booked. 72 and still getting on stage. He's about to do this whole Vegas run,
which is, I think, phenomenal for all artists. You've made it. If people, you can stay in the same place and people come to see you.
Isn't that something? Where you like, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna do this residency real quick. So yes, he's gonna be doing this Vegas run coming up. And that's amazing when you get the opportunity. And Danielle, I want to go back to Danielle's article real quick, because the thing that endeared me to her writing as well is she was like, listen, I'm in the audience and we're all singing his songs together. Multicultural experience. We all out here singing. Lionel Richie got joints. I forgot he wrote Lady for Kenny Rogers. Forgot.
Pen game. Now we like to throw around the term pen game. Y'all don't know pen game like Lionel Richie knows pen game. Do we have some facts for the people, J. Ray? Like you said,
I'm gonna
Kenny
go back and I'm gonna
Rogers.
say it one more time. Okay, Endless Love spent 9 weeks at number one. We Are the World. Lady. Okay, Lady. He wrote that in 1980. It was, of course, another number one. I did say, he's one of two songwriters. I don't even know who the other songwriter is. I need to look it up. Who had a song at number one for 9 consecutive years. Like he's just going, here we go. We got a Lionel Richie joint. And bruh, when you talk about the level of joints, and look, Say You, Say Me. I forgot about that song. Yeah,
Forget about that.
I don't even know how and you know why I forget? Here's how I forget. Because these songs are so intertwined into, I think, life that you hear them, you sing them, but they're just kind of part of things. So I can't imagine not hearing Lionel Richie songs because they just part of everything. Can you imagine not hearing Endless Love again? That wouldn't make sense.
I cannot, and I can't. And we're just talking about like the songs that he's written and performed. Let's talk about the fact that his music, because we come from this generation, his music lives on in samples. How many times have we heard the dum 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 used in a rap song? Like right off the top of my head, Il Nana by Foxy Brown and Method Man. A really, so sampling is another way of paying homage.
Yep.
And teaching young people where this music comes from and who's responsible for creating it. So,
yeah. Absolutely. Like we can't. And fun fact about Brick House is Lionel Richie didn't actually sing lead on that song. So it's one of those Commodore songs that he didn't actually do lead vocals on. But of course, he's part of the band, and that song is, you can't go nowhere without hearing Brick House. Like every wedding you ever go to, you gonna hear Brick House playing.
Wedding, barbecue, all of that stuff. Protest, you're gonna hear Brick House.
Not protest.
Brick House, and Brick House is used in a lot of movies and television shows because it's synonymous with a woman, a beautiful woman, in all that comes in all different shapes and sizes. And so you have somebody who's been able to do that. That song takes that aspect of celebrating a woman and her dimensions, and then it becomes this banner. Because how many times has a woman referred to herself as a brick house?
A brick house.
How many times has a man referred to a woman as she was a brick house? She's stacked, mighty, all of that good stuff. So again, that's the magic. And he mentioned something in the, I'm just dropping all kinds of stuff around here today. He mentioned something in the article about being in that zone. He called it the dimension when he was writing and getting lost in it and getting lost in like a couple chords and notes and getting lost in that part. Because, here goes Sir Daniel being all kooky and spiritual again. I really believe that's a window. That dimension that he's talking about is a portal in which he's receiving all of that. It refers to an outhouse. Kipper just completely threw me off with that comment. But no, he's absolutely right. That's in Mississippi anyway. But yes, back to what I was saying about that moment of writing and receiving that. And our greatest composers experience that same thing, experience that phenomenon of getting directly channeling that information to them.
No, you're absolutely right. And you can, and the reason why I think we feel the songs the way that we feel them is because he was feeling that way as those songs were being written as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. I mean, just thinking through, I'm going down a Rolodex of Lionel Richie songs and just thinking about, oh, that's just beautiful. Like you feel a little bit more relaxed. Like this, it's like one of those things you put on. How do I say this? Sometimes you can put on a song and it feels like home.
Yeah.
These songs that we're talking about feel like home. You could go anywhere in the world. You hear these songs. You hear, now my friends, the time has come. You know, and you feel like, okay,
Because
I'm
we're
about to go
gonna
in
party, Harambe, Fiesta,
forever.
whatever, forever. No, but seriously, guys, we joke around because, like J. Ray just said, these songs are a part of us now. They are legit a part of our DNA. They're programmed into us. And I read somewhere that a lot of times people who suffer from anxiety and who deal with anxiety, what you'll see is that they will watch TV shows that they've seen over and over again, reruns, because those things give them a sense of comfort. There's no thinking. It's like white noise almost, but it helps to bring the anxiety down. The same thing with these songs. You may not be dealing with anxiety, but the reason why it releases those endorphins and that feel good feeling is because it relaxes us and it brings down any type of anxiety, because it to your point, it's like a blanket. It's very comforting. And as we start to wrap up, before we got on the air, I know that everybody is in like a versus mindset, and we typically don't try to talk like in those norms. But J Ray and I were singing, the only person, if it were to ever come to something like that, the only person that would see, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, that would
Yeah, I know what you mean.
that could come up against Lionel Richie in a versus is Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And I mean, honestly, and I would feel bad for Lionel in that situation because Stevie's pen game, when we talk about pen game again,
Yeah,
it's, it's,
it would definitely be a battle.
it would definitely be about, and one that you want to talk about the culture? It would be for the culture. Like, we would be so
Listen,
ready. I could see pianos on stage, or it would be hot. It's just gonna be pianos and singing folks and bands. It would be too much.
I could see them sitting at the same piano actually.
Oh.
Because Stevie likes that. Stevie likes. I've noticed that he likes people standing right next to him, because I'm sure that's a musician thing, and like them singing right next to each other and
Wow.
creating that moment.
I want that to happen just so that we can experience what I'm feeling in my soul right now from you saying that. Like,
Just
oh,
just from
jeez.
bringing up, that would be really good. That would feel good, like how we felt when we saw Shaka and Stephanie. That would feel good. That
It
would
would
just,
it would feel
you know,
good.
let
Yeah,
me get
yeah,
the stank. I have the stank face on now,
yeah.
just from thinking about how dope that would be. So for those of you that are listening, and we thank you all for listening on Podchaser and the various outlets that were carried on, because look, we see the numbers and we see that you guys are listening. Um, Becoming Q Points insiders by going to qpoints.com, qp.net, QP Insider. I mean, there's just Apple Podcasts. There's just so many ways for you to listen and to watch on YouTube if you like, Facebook. And we're just very appreciative of it. And so that's why we know that you will do the right thing and vote for all the black people on this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee.
Vote for everybody black, y'all. We're putting the link back in the chat, and it'll be in the description for those of you who go to listen. But we have to celebrate our heroes. And I'm going to read a quote as we wind down too. I just saw it. I literally just saw it. Last week we celebrated Dionne Warwick, and here's a quote from Dionne Warwick about Lionel Richie. That's
Mm.
literally right in front of me. Dionne said, "Every day he looks like he is having the best day of his life. He is definitely someone I look up to. A real musical hero." You got
Wow.
legends saluting legends right there.
Absolutely. That's dope. Mm.
Yeah.
What else is there to be said, J Ray? I think we said it all.
I think we've said it all, y'all. Go vote, please do. You can do it every day up until in April. The date is there on the website, and we once again we just appreciate y'all. This is a journey that we continue to have fun on. Oh yes, Sir Daniel, you have to tell people two things, whatever you was gonna say, and where to
Mm.
come and to remind folks about Saturday.
Yes. So before we wrap up, I did want to take the time to acknowledge Silas Simon Alexander, who just recently passed away from pancreatic cancer. Simon, or Simon Baby, as he was known to all of us here in Atlanta, in Georgia, in radio land, passed away, like I said the other day, from pancreatic cancer. He, oh God, we're talking 30 plus years of radio and
Wow.
being a part of people's lives. And, I was introduced to him when I started working with another well known radio personality here in Atlanta called Joyce Littell, and they were best friends.
Mhm.
So, salute to Simon, and everything that he has done for radio here in Atlanta and Georgia. I salute to his family, and I offer my condolences to his family and to all of his friends and colleagues that loved him. But yes, I wanted to acknowledge him and say rest in peace to Simon. And in the tradition of those radio DJs that I grew up on, and like Simon, who influenced us, I'm going back to spinning vinyl on Saturday, this coming Saturday, March
Fifth.
5th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I want all my folks from the East Coast to the West Coast to be able to join me on Mixcloud. It's simple. You can go to Mixcloud from your browser and just look me up, the Sir Daniel, or you can download the app and follow me, and you'll get a notification that I'm live on air. But again, this is Women's History Month, and I'm doing my part to salute the Black women who have made a difference in music, who have given us gems that we absolutely love. I am dipping into my funk R&B disco bag this Saturday. So be prepared to, if you want me to help you clean your house, that's how I'm going to do it. If you are getting ready to meet your girls and meet your peoples out for this Saturday evening, I'm here to get you grooving for that as well. So please, it's just going to be a fun time. Let's just, there's nothing for you to do but to just enjoy the music. And, if you got kids that don't know about this kind of stuff, have them in the room, have them hear it and dance with them. And yes, say you don't know nothing about that. What you know about this, dance with them, get them involved. That's how, when they see your joy for the music, that's how they learn to appreciate the music. So that's just,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna get off
Yeah.
my soapbox with that.
Yeah.
But yes, join me on Mixcloud on Saturday. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be fun.
Yo, y'all, this is going to be a good time. Thank you so much once again for all of y'all. And Sir Daniel, what do you normally tell the people?
Folks, in this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the music play. I'm Sir Daniel.
I'm J Ray, y'all. Peace.
This has been Q Points. We thank you. Peace.